Good afternoon, you wee bastards, and welcome back to the Corrections and Suggestions series with Koala, which was meant to be over after the last video on the Challenger, but I just couldn't let sleeping dogs lie, so we're back. By the way, thank you lads for your support on that Challenger video, it was nuts. As far as that video on APFS to guess shell penetrations I mentioned working on in that video, it's coming. Actually, I'm working on doing that video collaboratively with a very popular military YouTuber, so I'm very excited for that. In today's video, however, we have some things to discuss. Now, I said in that Challenger video that several of my past videos in the series had some flaws, and we're going to correct all the misinformation throughout the series in this here refresher, which will also serve as our springboard into the long-awaited video talking about modern tanks in War Thunder, Leopard 2A5s, M1A2s and such. So, we're not going to cover any new tanks in this video, no new corrections or suggestions. Actually, this is a corrections video for all my previous corrections videos. Now, I'm not going to count the FJ4 video I did a couple months ago, that's not really a part of this series, but I may do a video series in future talking about suggestions for new top tier jets, so like and comment if you want to see that. We're going to start out with the one that kicked it all off, the Type 90 video. Oh boy, was this one flawed. Now, mainly what I can tell you about that is that the armor of the Type 90 in-game is practically correct. It should not achieve 530mm of kinetic energy effective armor. As I said in that video, that statement comes from many misinformed sources, and here's where I have to address the accusations I've received that I don't do my research and just make shit up. It really annoys me when some self-entitled people in the community accuse me of this sort of thing and then don't even bother trying to listen to my reasoning for it. I have never, in any of these videos, made anything up. The issues I've had with misinformation are down to my own receiving misinformation in the first place, information from sources that I believe to be reputable, and were only later proven otherwise. To give some examples, the official record of the Type 90's ballistics trials is actually the incorrect source here, and there are reasons for that which we'll talk about in a moment. As I said in the Challenger 1 video, even some government-mediated sources get this information wrong, and then spread it out there for us researchers to get confused by. It was only after uploading the video that I was able to get in contact with the sorts of people who could expose the incorrect information and point me towards the truth. God, I sound like a frickin' born-again religious nut, don't I? Whilst I have tried to present myself in recent videos as somebody who does know all of this information, I am new to this style of video and this in-depth level of research and do get things wrong, which is why I've always invited corrections from those viewers who may be able to give them. Until then, I'm going by the best sources that I've been able to find within the length of time which I've been able to spend writing the video. This is exactly what happened with the Type 90 video. Until uploading it, I had no idea that the information I was going off was incorrect. These were some pretty reputable sources I was using stating that the Type 90 was invulnerable to M833 and therefore had a certain level of protection in the neighbourhood of 530mm. One source I even had to pay to access, so I was pretty angry about that. Upon uploading the video, however, and this is why I'm glad I did, I was contacted by viewers who knew about the misinformation and were able to correct me. Actually, out of the 18,000 odd viewers who saw that video, only 4 or 5 individuals actually knew to correct my information, so thank you to those guys who did. What I said in that video was that the Type 90 was recorded to be invulnerable to its own shell, the JM33, Japanese licensed build of the German DM33 shell fired by the Leopard 2 as of 1987. This is true. What I said in that video was that it was invulnerable from certain ranges, but was penetrated by JM33 at close range, 250 meters and less. This is also true. I then said that shells which were fired from far ranges were not actually fired from any further away at all, but had their propellants, the explosive charge behind the shell, modified to simulate further ranges. By lowering the amount of explosive behind the shell, you fire it with lowered velocity, and therefore it acts as though it were being fired from farther away. This is all also true. Then I made my mistake. I said that the shell which was fired and did not penetrate the Type 90's turret cheeks was simulated to represent a shot from 500 to 1000 meters, which was quote-unquote true going by the sources I was using, which once again I believed at the time to be reputable and had no way of knowing that they weren't, or any contact with the viewers who would later correct me. I said that Gaijin had excused their own poor modelling by saying that the tests were done inaccurately and that Japan's own results were wrong while theirs were right. I said that this was extremely arrogant on Gaijin's part, and that as they did not include any sources whatsoever proving that statement, that it was not true but their own excuse as to why the Type 90 had reduced armor in their game. This was not true, and I must apologise to Gaijin for my accusations towards them. Yeah, that guys, formal apology. I f***ed up. They didn't. See, the observer who recorded the ballistics trials performed against the Type 90's armor was not actually given a lot of the information as to what he was recording. The Japan Self-Defense Force keeps things ridiculously close to the vest, even by modern military standards. That observer recorded several shells fired at the armor, writing down simply what he saw and calling it fact. He was not made aware that the JM33 shell, which did not penetrate the turret, was actually fired with only 80% of the shell's usual propellant, and therefore did indeed simulate a shot from a range of around 2.5 kilometers or more. So Gaijin did indeed get things right when they said that these tests, and more specifically the observations recorded and published, were not actually accurate. The source, the observer who recorded the results, was not a reliable source as he didn't have the primary information, and the publication of these results was actually spreading misinformation about the strengths of this tank's armor. Unfortunately, Gaijin did not post the sources proving that, which I really wish they had. It would have saved me a lot of time. It was poor form for them to not include that source in their historical references dev blog post or Q&A, but that doesn't change the fact that what they said was correct. The Type 90's armor in-game is just about accurate, and it's actually the shell that is slightly overperforming against flat armor. It should only be around 510 to 550 millimeters, while being hilariously shafted with its angled penetration. This was done after the tank's release, when the shell proved laughably overpowered, having so much penetration, and therefore Gaijin sneakily messed with its slope modifier while keeping its flat penetration the same. So JM33 is overperforming by around 25 to 30 millimeters against flat armor, we know this because of the Lanz-Odermatt equation, but actually missing over 60 millimeters of penetration at 60 degrees. Modeled accurately, the JM33 would be capable of penetrating the turret of the Challenger 2 at close range, with around 640 millimeters LOS penetration at 60 degrees. If you're confused as to what LOS penetration means, go see the Challenger 1 video, it's all explained there. With its armor in-game being correct, and therefore not able to be increased to help the tank remain potent at a higher battle rating, you might think that my stance on its move up to 10.3 has changed. But no, it's not. See, people's main issue with the Type 90 is that it has low survivability. Your autoloader means that you only have 3 crewmen, and looking at the tank front on, 2 of them are lined up nicely for a whole shot to wipe out the tank. That doesn't change at 10.0, 10.3, 10.7 even. The 3-man crew is still your weak factor, while the armor, considering the opposing tanks I've listed for 10.3, is still good. But the shell should be corrected with an insane level of angled penetration, and the reload could actually be sped up, as accounts state that the autoloader could achieve a 2.7 second reload. This may be a little exaggerated, I don't quite want to get into the whole reliable sources thing all over again, but I think that with so many accounts stating that the reload rate could or should be faster, that even a 0.5 second decrease of load time would make the tank 10.3 worthy. That's a 4.5 second reloading rate on a highly mobile, well-armored tank with a 510mm penetrating APFSDS that's good for over 610mm LOS penetration at 60 degrees. Already seems like a worthy 10.3 to me, and yes, I hear your guys' complaints that its gunnery angles aren't all that great and that its elevation is slow. What should also be taken into account is that the tank is too big in-game. In real life, the Type 90 is significantly smaller than the Leopard 2. The whole point of the autoloader is to allow for a more compact fighting compartment, while in-game, they're roughly the same size. Smaller tank means smaller target, harder to hit weak spots, and harder to peg at long ranges on the move. A minor improvement, no doubt, but an improvement nonetheless, and Japanese tank with incorrectly sized visual model. Where have I seen that before? If you don't remember, I also suggested in that Type 90 video that if the Type 90 is to have its BR raised to 10.3, then the STC should come in at 9.7, with the DM13 shell and the Type 74G Kai be a 9.0 Japanese premium tank, with a new shell, the 450mm penetrating Type 93 APFSDS, as well as the other minor improvements made over our current in-game Type 74, which is modelled on the Type 74E. The next video in the series is a slightly easier one on the M1 Abrams and whether or not it should receive M833. This is a rather simple correction, but it does tear the video to shreds. So, the M774 shell we have currently in-game is significantly overperforming against flat armor, with 415mm penetration. Actually, against flat armor, the M774 in real life makes no improvement over the predating M735. That's right, the M774 should have no more penetration than the 360mm on the M735 shell that the M60 Rise and XM1s get at 9.0. Where the improvement to the shell comes in is in angled penetration, and our in-game M774 is correct for 60 degrees, I believe. It's the M833 shell that should have these levels of penetration, and actually it's only about 400mm, not 415, while having as much as 240mm penetration at 60 degrees, or 480mm LOS. As I said in the Challenger video, it's this value that gets people confused when they hear 480mm penetration and believe that value to be flat RHAE. But no, M833 using the Lanz-Odermatt equation cannot exceed 400mm flat penetration. With this in mind, I think that the M1 at 10.0 should receive M833 to replace M774, and receive M774 as its stock shell, replacing M735. The penetration rates remain pretty much the same as they are currently, so the tank remains balanced. I also maintain that the IP M1 should be raised to 10.3, with its armor slightly improved. It should be raised by about 30 to 40mm on both turret cheeks and the lower plate, and rather than see M833 as the new shell, it could honestly receive M900 at this battle rating. This is another overestimated shell with only around 510 to 520mm flat penetration, almost identical to the German DM33, and I think an IPM1 at this tier would be balanced, provided the other adjustments I'm also going to go through are included as well. If need be, the reload can always be nerfed to 5.5 seconds, fully aced for the IP. I wouldn't be too mad at this, and I hope you lads won't either. Now it's on to the Leopard 2A4. Once again, not much to correct here, just a comment to reply to you stating that the gun mantlet is missing as much as 150mm of kinetic energy effectiveness and 300mm chemical. This is not true. While the mantlet may be missing somewhere in the neighborhood of 150mm of composite material, that material is not good for 150mm kinetic effectiveness. The mantlet needs about 50 to 80mm more armor against kinetic, and as much as 150 to 180mm more armor versus chemical energy, but besides that and some missing side armor, which I didn't mention in that video, our tank in game is all good. I said in that video that it could receive DM33 with 510mm flat penetration at 10.3, whilst we could get the Leopard 2A1 with identical armor but only the shells we currently have for the 2A4 at 10.0, while the Leopard 2A4 with C-Tech armor and DM33 would sit at 10.7. I also need to point out that what I said about A-Tech and D-Tech armor was... I don't even know what I was talking about there. It was late at night. A-Tech is a weird one. Supposedly that refers to the spaced armor of the Leopard 2AV, but it's not officially referred to as A-Tech armor. I don't actually think that exists. While D-Tech relates, I believe, to the hull of the Leopard 2A5, if I recall correctly, with the same levels of protection as C-Tech, but a slightly different frontal armor profile. I also forgot to mention this loader's hatch, which was not present on 2A4s and just needs straight up removing. Gaijin, get on that. Next up, it's the video on the Leopard 1A5, a suggestion to be added to help Germany's situation with the A1A1 stock grind at 9.0. This video seemed to confuse some viewers. My main point was to suggest that the current A1A1 is changed into a 1A5, with the DM23 APFSD shell as a tier 1 modification, and every other shell given to the tank stock. Gaijin has said that they cannot remove the modification, as people have paid real money to get it, and can add in BRs specific to which modules a vehicle has unlocked, but changing our tank into a 1A5 would be a really simple matter of adding this optic from the premium tank and removing these two bumps, which are optical coincidence rangefinders not seen on 1A5s. This tank, now a 1A5, could remain at 9.0 and be balanced there with a much easier stock grind, while we could get the A1A1 all over again back at 8.3 without the DM23 APFSD shell. I also mentioned the addition of the Leopard 1A3 and 1A4, and that's up for debate. That was the main takeaway from that video, but not what got everyone up in arms. What I also said was that this tank, the premium Leopard A1A1 L44 as it is named, is actually a Leopard 1A5 L44 because of this optic, the EMES 18 fire control system fitted to production 1A5s with their 105mm guns, but not fitted to the A1A1 or the 120mm prototype. This isn't true. Actually, the Leopard A1A1 prototype with the L44 gun was retrofitted with the EMES 18 in 1985. Our in-game premium also has the two old rangefinders on the sides of the turret, but it is still a Leopard 1A5 L44. Why? Well, the optic may have been present on the prototype, but this armour was not. This circular-shaped armoured housing or ballistic hood on the in-game tank is what's incorrectly modelled, and the IRL prototype had a simple square plating around the optic. That is stated clearly in the Tankograd book on the Leopard 1 and also visible in this image, which is of the prototype in 1985. The Leopard 1A5 L44 was never actually built, though it was offered to buyers and still is to this day. It is this reason why I believe that Gaijin has chosen to call our tank Leopard A1A1 L44, but I do still believe that they should rename it to 1A5 L44, as I think it would sell better with this more prestigious title. There is no reason the tank could not have been built, and given that Gaijin states that our tank has the radio equipment from the production Leopard 1A5, which the prototype did not, as well as Gaijin having modelled the 1A5's ballistic hood rather than the one from the actual real-life prototype, they should remove the optical coincidence rangefinder, leave the ballistic hood as it is, and change the name to 1A5 L44. It's my opinion that the prototype A1A1 L44 was changed in significant enough of a way to justify calling it a 1A5 L44 anyway. The only thing missing was the removal of the rangefinders, and that's simply removing redundant equipment rather than improving the tank any. Functionally, it is a 1A5 rather than an A1A1, and officially by this point, the prototype had no name at all. Gaijin's other option is to leave the rangefinders, remove the armoured housing, or remove the EMAS-18 optic altogether and leave the name as it is, but I think the former option works better. I also suggested that we receive the Leopard 1A6 prototype with its composite applique armour and revised gun mantlet at a 9.3 in line with the Kampfpanzer 70, either above or below it, and that the Leopard 2K prototype could also join it in this line, giving us an experimental prototype line in Tier 6 Germany, and allowing players to begin researching Rank 6 with the Leopard 2A1 at 10.0, just as they can currently with the M1 Abrams and T-64A. Britain should also be able to jump straight to the Challenger 1, that being the Mark 1 at 9.3 with only L23 as its top shell, as I discussed in the Challenger 1 video. There's nothing to correct about the Challenger video, so I just thought I'd get that out of the way right now. There's also nothing really to correct about the T80BV video, besides saying that Gaijin did hear me, and as of the live server, the ERA module was not named BV as it is on the T64, but Contact 1, meaning that we still could see the 5-layer T80BV at 10.3 with new shells in future. I still, however, stand by my point that the T80B at 10.0 should have received more powerful shells rather than composite armor, those shells being the improved 3BM26 and 3BM29 shells, while the T80BV at 10.3 could receive the 3BM32 Vant depleted uranium APFSDS shell along with its 5-layer composite armor, which offered increased resistance against kinetic energy munitions, and Contact 1 ERA, which protected it from chemical threats. The T80U at 10.7 could then receive 3BM42 Mango as its own top shell, with Vant being its stock ammunition. Well lads, that's it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed, or at least found it informative, and that if you did, you'll leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already so that we can hit my goal of 10k by the end of this year. I may have made some mistakes in my videos in the past, but as I've said, until hitting that upload button on something I thought was accurate, I've no real way of being corrected. I don't have access to the information to correct myself. I'm glad you lads do correct me when I say something wrong, and if I got something wrong here, please do feel free to correct me again. I'm only human after all, and I'm just a guy doing my best with the information I'm able to dig up. But whenever I do get things wrong, I'm more than willing to admit it and correct it, so I do hope you lads have appreciated my doing so. I hope that all of you who lost a little faith in my credibility might have had it restored by this video, as I do want my channel and my content to be respected and trusted, and I of course have to earn that respect and trust by getting things right. I am, however, going to leave my previous videos in the series up, as we'll build on them in the next video, which will be the one where I discuss modern tanks in future War Thunder updates. But this one will serve as the main lead into that video when it comes, which should hopefully be within 2 weeks, but my schedule's all messed up right now. I just wish I had more time to make these videos for you. Having said that, you lads can help me out on that front by going into the link in the video description and checking out my Patreon, where there are unique rewards for backers such as credits in videos, privileges on the Koala Tree, my Discord, and the ability to join Dion Albanach, my War Thunder Squadron, and feature in upcoming videos. Thank you to those of you who support me already, you lads are bra, and your support really does go a huge way to helping me keep pumping out these videos. I can't thank you enough. Anyway, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, come check out my social media, links in the description, and always remember, keep your bagpipes to hand, your kilt on, and I shall see you next video. I say a wee thank you to these lads for supporting me on Patreon. Rookie Sleeger Arson, and Dark Recon. Your lads are bro. If you wish to join them, come check out the link in the description below.